A takedown in Tuscaloosa. Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns roll into Alabama and take down Nick Saban and the Tide. Their first top 3 win since 2008 for the Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers was awesome in this game. And he had some pretty dimes to show for it. 24 of 38. 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. This was quite a performance from Texas on the road. The first time that they had been at Alabama since 1902. 1902. They roll in 120 years later and pull off the upset, 34-24. And get this, for Nick Saban, the first double-digit home loss as Alabama head coach. Let me repeat that again. Nick Saban's first double-digit home loss as Alabama head coach.
Wow.
First, it never happened before. And Texas, well, is Texas back?
Every year. Too soon, Hakeem.
Let's welcome in two-time Super Bowl champ, former Florida State standout, Bryant McFadden. That was pretty awesome from Quinn Ewers.
Yes,
I mean, the first touchdown pass he tossed to Xavier Worthy was a dime. Floats it up there. Great catch by him. Your reaction to what you just saw Texas pulling off the upset at Alabama?
Well, hats off to Quinn. The job he did tonight, he was super special, phenomenal, extremely accurate. I mean, you talk about the dimes he was dropping. He was wearing some cargo pants because he had a pocket full of dimes.
Cargo pants are not in style anymore, though, are they?
Well, they should be for Quinn Ewers.
Okay, fair.
Because he needed to have something on with a lot of pockets because he had a lot of dimes on him tonight. He just was outstanding. I mean, 349 yards. And the thing that I love about Quinn Ewers, we could talk about his accuracy, but the big playability. I mean, he had long passes of what, 150, 39, 44, 33, against a pretty good defense. That's what we thought going into tonight's matchup. But for them, the Longhorns offensively, he made Alabama, man, look slow. His wide receivers were consistently getting behind guys in the secondary. And Quinn he just picked off basically where he left at a year ago before the injury. And clearly he had it on his mind. This was like a revenge opportunity for him. He came in, he balled out for 4 quarters.
Yeah, they lost by 1 last year, and some had thought had he played the entire game, they would have won the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. We don't play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, but you think, okay, maybe had he played in that game, the whole game last year, they win that game because they lost by 1. This year they win by 10. What have you seen out of Quinn Ewers? Because you look at the years that he has been in college football. He got the mullet, a little bit thicker. He's a little leaner now, clean cut. He looks, not to say that he didn't look good with the mullet, but he looks like he's like going on
without the mullet.
He looks like he's on a business trip. You know, like he is going to places to take care of business.
I mean, he looks better. He seems to be in better shape, better conditioned, and he's just playing with a lot of confidence. He has a little bit of Jeff George in his game. The arm, the strength, the accuracy. I mean, he's a gunslinger. And if you give him any time to dial up heat in that pocket, he is going to find the open pass catcher. And tonight, he didn't just showcase that he was the best quarterback on the football field. He showed all of us he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in college football. And if he can sustain this level of play, you got to have his name in the Heisman conversation based on what he's done so far, and also doing this on a national stage against one of the best teams in college football.
I'm impressed with Quinn Ewers. And look, he's a former #1 overall prospect, Ohio State. He transfers to Texas. And look, they got a guy waiting in the wings at Texas in Arch Manning.
Yeah, you got to wait.
Like Quinn Ewers is right now saying, hey, you'll get your time, young man. This is my time to shine right now.
Deserving so.
Meantime, for Alabama, they came in with quarterback questions. Jalen Milroe ends up being the starter. They got Tyler Buckner, the transfer from Notre Dame. They got Ty Simpson, who was already there. When you come into the season with questions at your quarterback positions, and it's week 2, you really don't have an answer if you're going out there and having a display like this.
And let's keep it real for Alabama. They've been in quarterback heaven, Hakeem.
They have.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Bryce Young.
Yeah.
All starting tomorrow for their NFL teams.
Yep.
So now they're kind of coming back to reality in regards to the quarterback normalcy and what we see in college football, and they're just trying to figure things out. And like you said, Hakeem, they kind of went through this quarterback issue throughout spring, throughout training camp, and then finally decided to make a selection on who the quarterback would be, and it was Jalen Milroe. Last week, played pretty good football. Not the level of competition he saw tonight, but he did some pretty good things. Tonight, the stage was too big for him. The lights were too bright. 2 big-time costly interceptions that led to opportunities for Texas, and he just didn't seem comfortable in the pocket. Think about this, the Longhorn defense, who currently play in the Big 12, and we always say Big 12 defenses, they don't play defense, right? They found a way to harass Jalen Milroe, sacked him 5 times. And when they weren't sacking him, they were making things extremely difficult for him in the pocket, and clearly he could not handle that heat. He tried to stay out of the kitchen, but when you play the quarterback position, you got to run into the kitchen sometime. You got to run into that fiery kitchen and come out successful, and he wasn't able to do so tonight. So what we saw with one team, Quinn Ewers, big-time baller. What we see with Alabama, they still have some issues at the quarterback position. If they don't find a way to make something happen, it could be a long season.
Yeah, and you look at what they had sustained there in Tuscaloosa, 21 straight home wins. That snapped. Their first September loss since 2015. This feels like, because we tend to become prisoners of the moment. And like fans, we have to step back and not react so quickly. But I wouldn't be upset if you told me, oh, man, I don't know about our season right now if I'm about Alabama. I feel like the sky is falling. Like, that's what you feel in week 2 already. That's what it is when you're talking major college football. Well, now, look, next year we have 12 teams into the playoff. This is the final year where we only have 4 in. So, like, this is the last shot for really to say, hey, we were one of the best 4 teams in the nation. That's not going to happen this year.
And I understand big-time loss. The expectations are always high for Alabama. But they played against Texas. They lost against Texas. Texas in the Big 12. So within their conference in the SEC, they still have everything in front of them that they would like to achieve in regards to conference play. Because when you talk about having 4 playoff spots right now, you take care of your business in conference, you win a title, you have a shot to get into the tournament. So for Alabama, I understand they're expecting to go undefeated. It didn't happen. We've seen this before with Alabama. We have. Where there have been a hiccup on their schedule when they didn't win a ball game that many people thought they should win, but they found ways to bounce back. The difference between then and now, they have questions at the most important position, which is the quarterback. And if Jalen Milroe is the best option, they got to find a way to get more consistency from him.
Well, the other thing that Nick Saban is going to say is we got to clean up the mistakes. They had 10 penalties in this game. 10.
Yeah, sloppy
when
play.
do you ever see a Nick Saban team have double-digit penalties? You just don't see it. And you don't win a game having 10 penalties in college football. And you look back at the critical plays, end of the first half, the ineligible player downfield. And I get that. There's scrambling and guys get out of position. I understand it. But it's cost because it would have been a touchdown off a deflection. It was crazy. But then later in the third quarter, there was the holding call. That's the stuff you point back to and go, that could have changed the dynamic of the game. That penalty right there really hurt Alabama.
And another thing that has to be alarming for Alabama, secondary play. How many times did we see pass catches from Texas behind a defender? Easily. Players just playing with bad eyes, not doing what they're supposed to do, and just not playing Alabama-like football from what we've seen in years past in the secondary. They allow a lot of big-time splash plays from the Longhorns offense, and because of that, they surrendered 34 points, and as Hakeem mentioned, a big-time loss at home, something that we don't usually see from a Nick Saban-led team.
All right, so when you look back at this game and you look big picture, what does it mean for Texas? What does it mean for Alabama?
Well, this could be a defining moment for Texas, and I'm not going to say what we always say.
Texas is back?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, because every time I say it, guess what? Next week there's a hiccup.
No, right here.
We're not doing that here.
Right here. Come on to camera 3.
Do not.
Come to camera 3.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Don't do it.
3.
Don't do it.
2, 1. Texas is back.
Oh boy. I'm not doing it, and I believe the faithful Longhorn fans, they're with me on this. We're not saying that because every time we say, every year, even last year when it was a close loss to Alabama at home in Austin, people were saying, guess what? Are they back? And then a few weeks later, we see a hiccup. right? So I'm not doing it, but what I will do is say this. This could be a defining moment for the Longhorns in regards to the aspirations they have for them as a championship playoff caliber team. Because what we saw tonight is what we should see every week. They have talent. That's never been an issue for Texas, right? They've always had talent. It's about being consistent, right? You put forth an outstanding game against Alabama on the national stage. Quinn Ewers, outstanding performance. What's next? Are you going to continue to pat yourself on the back next week, or are you going to continue to showcase that, you know what, you're one of the best teams in college football? We have to wait and see. But I will not say what Hakeem just said.
Well,
I'm not saying that. I won't do it.
Well, look, that's one of the most favorite things that we do, right, in college football is we say so-and-so is back.
Yeah.
And it's no more than Texas.
With 2 universities.
Right.
Texas and Miami.
Yeah. Yep. You're darn right about that.
So I'm not doing that with the Longhorns.
I feel like we got to stamp
There
this.
you go. You just want to
stamp it right here. Week 2, 2023. Texas is back. Quinn Ewers' Heisman campaign begins.
I'm not doing it with you. It's not fair.
You know what you are doing? You're doing another episode of All Things Covered.
Facts.
All right. What do you got coming up on the show? Patrick Peterson's going to play on Sunday.
No question.
What is he going to get a pick on Brock Purdy?
He said it.
He did say it.
He said it. You know what I mean? And you know what? There's a picture with Brock and Pat. When Brock Purdy was in high school, he took the picture with Pat.
Yeah, because he grew up in Arizona.
Yes.
He was a fan of the Cardinals.
Exactly. Big fan of Pat.
Well, maybe he'll just throw him a gift.
That would be great, Brock. If you can just throw him a gift.
Hey, you want to be entertained, insight from 2 great players, Patrick Peterson and my guy Bryant McFadden. All Things Covered. Download and follow today. Coming up, perspective on this win for Texas.